Welcome to Local Everywhere. I'm Cynthia Pooler. My guest today is Mary Katzke, and Mary is with Infinity
Affinity.
Affinity. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Want to
Affinity.
start again? You could start again.
No, that's fine. Um,
Okay.
so tell us a little about Affinity Films.
Okay, so I moved to Alaska in 1979. I'm a law school dropout. Realized really quickly that that wasn't right for me. So I I decided to come up here to I already had a degree in radio, television, and film. Came up here, got a job right away, making good money doing what I wanted to do. So I started Googling, documentary, what kind are there? There's the promotional, there's the biography, there's so many different kinds, but the one that appealed to me was the affinity documentary, where you do it because it's a subject you care about personally. So that's how I came up with the name. And since I had just uh, dropped out of law school, I was able to form my own nonprofit corporation and get the bylaws and everything in order and the board of directors and got that rolling so that we're a 501c3 so that we can receive grants and donations directly, because the kind of work we like to do rarely pays. We do get commission now and then from established organizations, but most of the time we're forging our own way.
So what do you do at Affinity? What's your vision?
My vision is to use media for storytelling that aids vulnerable populations and raises public awareness. And that, by vulnerable, I mean it could be economically vulnerable, it could be rural, indigenous people, it could be someone with dementia or Alzheimer's, or a special needs adult or special needs children, people that don't normally have a voice because there's no money to be made in it, but they have an important story to tell, and learning about them is important to our ability to be compassionate and useful community members.
There's so many people that have a specific perspective and they do it through their art. And that's what I want to bring out in Local Everywhere. And what you're doing is very important. So you strictly work with people in Alaska.
Oh no, we've worked nationally as well, but this is where I chose to have my home.
Oh,
Uh, I'm a world traveler, and I've left and come back 4 different times, and finally just settled in Homer, which is known as an artistic community, a little seaside community. And there's more writers and artists per capita here than just about anywhere else. So
really? So, so when you get together with friends, you must have a grand time talking about the arts.
yeah, not all my friends are in the arts, but many are.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a lot of lifelong friends that went different routes, social work and foundation work and um, law, medicine, a lot of different directions we all went. But I think we're on the same page for the most part about politics and community.
So some of the movies that you've made, can you enlighten us on what you've done?
Well, the first movie I made is called No Word for Rape. And it's about sexual assault. We have the highest, and still have 40 years later, one of the highest rates of sexual assault against women in the nation.
What do you think
And
that is?
well, that's of course the $1 million question. There's a lot of reasons. One is it's kind of the end of the road, so there's less accountability. A lot of people are not with their families. They come up here to start out on their own. There's also a diverse, vast geography. For instance, Robert Hansen got away with 23 murders before he got caught. And it's because he had a plane and he would fly them to very remote areas and the bodies, just didn't pop up. It was only because some hunters found the first one and then they were able to start putting it all together.
Mhm.
So geography is not in our, it's a beautiful place to live, but it also is a dangerous place to live.
Mhm. So, what else have you
Okay,
felt?
so from there I went on to do one, I've done a couple about unhoused individuals.
Mhm.
And I've worked with, I did the one that, the one of the ones that got national exposure was about the oil spill. It's called Sea of Oil.
Uh-huh.
And it was about the emotional impact on the community that was 3,000 peace loving people that suddenly had 10,000 people there overnight seeking, their fortunes and dragging their trailers and their children and all their sewage and waste, and it was quite an impact. And that film actually was on POV on PBS.
Oh,
Went to
nice.
Sundance, and then I've also done films on mental health and dementia, Alzheimer's. I mentioned backing out of time, and then at one point I took my then 10-year-old son out of school and we went around the world with backpacks, and I made a film about that called World School. And
Really?
so it's been quite a range, but there's always a little bit of personal involvement. Even with the Alzheimer's one, my closest girlfriend's mother was going through it, and that triggered the idea that we needed to look at what caregivers go through and
Mhm.
encourage other caregivers and follow these stories, which we did for 3 years. Um, what else? Special needs adults. We did films for the Arc of Anchorage. You probably have an Arc somewhere near you. Um, they take care of people with special needs,
Uh-huh.
and whether intellectual or physical,
Right.
and disabilities, I guess would be a better way to put that. I've done a lot of work around breast cancer. I'm a survivor myself and have um, done films along the way to encourage people and to teach people how to be supportive and all of that. Uh, I mean, the best way to look at what we've done is to look at our website. We're doing one now on missing and murdered Indigenous women in Alaska. We're in post-production on that.
Mhm.
And we just finished a short film about Parkinson's that will unveil in April. So, yeah.
So, about a year and a half ago, I believe it was, what hit the national news was a young woman from Florida who was murdered by her boyfriend. And as she was on,
Gabby Petito.
that's right. And she was like on all the news stations,
Absolutely.
and she was a beautiful young woman.
Right.
And people don't know much about missing indigenous people. And I think that is such an important topic. Um, how prevalent is it?
4 times more likely that
Okay.
it's an Indigenous woman than, and we call Gabby Petito's story missing white woman syndrome, because it is completely unbalanced how the media responds. And we're addressing that in our film. This woman was, the story we're telling is of twin sisters, and her twin was brutally, brutally murdered in a small town near Anchorage, and they've known who the murderer is. And this happened in November 2019, and it still has not gone to trial.
Really?
And that's why it's called Justice Delayed. And we want to show what that does, what the ripple effect does to the family that has not felt seen or heard by the justice system.
So when you produce a film, is it in local theaters or do you stream it on the internet?
It's mostly for local use. For instance, our breast cancer films went out in these first aid kits for the heart and soul, we call them. And they were distributed to the 400 women every year who are diagnosed here. Um, there's an educational distributor called Canopy that handles our Alzheimer's and our World School and our mental health film, 3 films they distribute for us to libraries and universities. It's used in curriculum in universities now. So the answer is it's a little bit different for every situation.
Okay.
But it's we try to make our living at the front end because it's really hard to recoup. I've got a little puppy here that I think I might have to put outside.
He doesn't seem to be bothering us right now.
And she's trying to knock my computer over.
So
Anyway, yeah, go
what
ahead.
you went from a law degree to,
No, I dropped out of law school because I didn't
okay,
like it. No.
okay. So what got you involved in the arts? What was it about movie making that inspired you to say, I want to be a filmmaker?
I think it was honestly, it was going to movies as a child. I
Uh-huh.
loved that you could be completely emotionally moved by a movie. And
Okay.
and then my father also had an 8 millimeter camera. So we made movies together when I was in, I'd say from the age 10 on up. And I loved that. Back then you had to plan it carefully because it was so expensive and you didn't have editing, and then you had to send it in to be processed, and then you got it back 2 weeks later and you got to watch it, or 3 weeks.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of the foundation of it. And then it just combines everything I love. It's like teamwork and compelling stories and music and artistically framing and choosing locations and casting. I like every element of it.
Uh-huh. So when you say your movies is basically shown in Alaska, um,
Unless it's on national television or used in the university distribution system.
okay. Now
Mhm.
for the average person who wants to see an enlightened movie, who might be interested in seeing the issue of indigenous women who are murdered, you know,
Hopefully that's going to be, if we're headed in the direction of that being on native public television. Um,
okay.
we have one more hoop to get through on that for the final grant for post-production. And if we're successful with that, that's where that will land. For 4 years, they'll have the complete rights to that.
Okay, but like in New York, we
That'll
won't.
be on your local public television. Our
Okay.
last film that we worked with them on um, was on 800 local stations across the
Oh,
nation.
great, great,
Yeah.
great. So you've been doing this for a while.
Yes. 40 years, 43 years actually.
Uh-huh. So tell us about the trek you went across the world with your son. That sounds interesting.
Well, we had a tragedy in our family. My nephew committed suicide, and
Sorry.
I was so moved by that I wanted to cement my relationship with my son. Well, he was at a really vulnerable point in his development, right on the cusp of adolescence.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sold our house. I mean, that's how much it meant to me. And we took off, and the film is called World School, and we started in Ireland and we kept making our way down around Africa and all the way through Malaysia and Vietnam and Thailand, all the way to Hawaii and Alaska. So we did a complete circumference around the world.
Mhm.
And I only had this little um, digital video camera. Took a lot of stills, and but we had enough to tell our story, and it's about 45 minutes long.
Mhm.
And people are interested, I can arrange for them um, to buy a screening pass,
Okay.
and
So
they can do that through the websites. There's
so
a World School website
so
and an Affinity Film one. Yeah.
so if I wanted to see it, what would I have to do?
Just contact us through the website, and then I would
Okay.
take it from there.
Okay, great.
Well, yeah, we have a donation button on our website, and once that's happened, then you get the password to the film.
Terrific. So you love filmmaking then?
I love it. Yes. I don't
That's
want to retire. I'm only going to retire when I'm physically unable.
that's great. And I'm sure you must have about 1,000 projects in your mind that you want to do, right?
Well, there's always more projects than there are money or time.
Right, right,
That part is true.
right. So, your vision of arts, let's close with that. What
Okay.
what's your perspective? What's your vision that you want to share with people that look at this video?
Uh, any of our videos, you mean, or well, I'm not sure what you're.
No, the video you and I are talking on right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like everyone has something to say, and some people are better at crafting that than others. And that if you want to say something important, you should take the time to either gather people around you with the talent and skills or to learn them yourselves so that you present your art in a good way.
Uh-huh. That sounds great. So, yeah, if anybody wants to contact you or
Yes.
learn more about your movies, more
Yes.
about your vision, how can they do so?
They can do that off our website through the contact form or off Facebook through Messenger.
Okay, and give us the address.
AffinityFilms.org.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you have been listening to Mary Katzke, and I am Cynthia Pooler. This is Local Everywhere. And if you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you, Mary. Thank you,
Thank
everybody,
you.
for listening. Have a great day.
You too.